that we can post. Policies is a good example. Accounts receivable is a good example. Budgetary transfers is a good example. Those information, that information, there's probably nothing on there that's confidential, and if we get in the habit of making sure that then I don't see a problem with posting.
So why don't we, for the sake of time, why don't we look to move the policy piece, since that seems to be the easiest one right now. Why don't we work to get that fixed so that it's out there based on what we just talked about, and then we can come back and revisit some other topics for clarification, but at least we're making progress towards the goal.
Well, I would piggyback on that, Mr. Wall, and add accounts payable and budget transfers. In other words, you do it at...
I'm fine with that. You would,
Okay.
sure. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Thank you.
Just so I understand what the process is going to be. I believe what was said was we're going to have a first reading at the committee of the whole meeting, and those will not be in the public area. So tonight, after the committee of the whole meeting, tomorrow morning, we'll come in, we'll make all of that stuff and put it into the public, and it'll stay in the public from here on in, and that's what we're going to do for policies, am I correct?
Yes.
And now we're also going to do that for
Accounts payable.
accounts payable.
We haven't had any budget transfers for a while,
But
We can do that for budget transfers.
it's different every month, that's the hard thing.
And that budget transfer is the most detail I've seen ever, and I'm appreciative of that. That's, it's down to a couple bucks.
I think if we get the big ticketed items and address some of the chronic complaints or feedback that's coming back, I think that's showing progress.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can move along, but I think we're making some progress here. We're absolutely showing some interest in putting some more stuff out there. Let's test the waters, and then if there's any ramifications, we'll go back.
So everything can be after this meeting?
Sure, we get it like by Friday.
Well, I'm saying
Before-
after the committee of the whole.
Yep,
The committee of
That
the
way
whole
we
doesn't
get it.
vote on anything.
right, we get it by Friday. We have a chance to look at it. We look at it here in public. And then from starting tomorrow or the next day, within a day or two, I mean, depending on what's going on. I don't want to hold them into a 24-hour mandate. As soon as you can get it on.
So it would be committee, it'd be committee approved, not board approved.
Yes.
Correct.
And I'm trying to get away from, as I had mentioned, of approving anything unless it's very sensitive in nature, that it's a very timely item. We kind of before approved a lot of things here at the committee of the whole, and I feel they should be approved at a board meeting. So unless it's a very timely item, then sometimes we have to push it. But routinely we just blew stuff through at this meeting, and I think we should vote on it at our public meeting.
The other thing is, we vote on approval of agenda at the beginning of this meeting.
Yes.
This agenda may not be approved. It could not be approved. Right?
Sure.
So what are we saying there? I mean, you want to get technical about it. That, you know,
Just
you're going to
gonna
send this stuff out. I mean, and we don't approve the agenda. So
I think if we don't approve the agenda, then we don't release it.
We wouldn't send it.
That's
out.
why it's a public meeting, and they should come to the meeting and
yeah,
I mean, that could occur.
and I think there'd be honestly a lot of confusion out there with, you know, putting things out that aren't formally voted on.
Well,
I mean,
I think once
well,
they're
here's my
presented
kid,
here.
you know, here's the new policy. What are you doing? You know,
I think we're kind of splitting the difference and kind of, you know, bringing it here to our committee meeting here, looking at it, and then determining that we'd like to move it forward. I mean, if it's an item that we don't want to move forward, then we will not move it forward. You know, we'll just say, it's not going to get posted because we're not going to vote on it. But I think that it's a good compromise. I have the biggest problem, and it's always ticked me off, that our public, what's our committee called? That your community advisory committee? Citizens Advisory Committee. I've been frosted beyond belief with steam coming out of my ears that they get stuff before we do. You know, and I'm like, why? What privies them to get stuff before we do? So I don't want the general public to get stuff before we do. You know, but I think they can get it right after we get it tonight. You know, we get this available to us on Friday, but I might have just looked at it this afternoon. You know, it's made to me at Friday, but I looked at it before I came here. So it's a delicate balance, but I think that once we get to the committee, that we should be okay with that. And I think that's what I'm kind of reading from you guys. You don't have a problem with that?
No.
You know, and again, there'll be exceptions to the rule every time. There's always going to be something, but I think as a general rule, you know, we're going to split the difference right now, because then it does give the public a chance to look at it for a few weeks, and then if they have any skin in the game or any concerns, come on to our meeting. All right, so I'm hoping we spent a lot of time on this, but it's very important, and I absolutely was not aware that stuff was on there, and I had to show it to myself. I would have been smiling and said, oh, I looked at November and nothing's there. But I did it, and I quickly saw that everything was there. So you learn something new every day. So again, I see that we are being transparent, and this has been an issue, and I think we want to be more transparent. But we just got to kind of split the difference and feel out the water. So if there's no further discussion, I think we beat this one pretty hard. But I think we made some
Can I just
motion.
throw out there that
Absolutely
we need
not.
to we need to remind people that our meetings are intense discussions, and that's where they need to come to. Not having an after discussion on social media about how they're going to solve all our problems. Be there and be part of it.
I agree, and in the past, the former board and president, et cetera, used to tend to not want to hear anything from the audience. If somebody tried to say anything, they immediately shut them down. And I'm not going to do that. You know, if people out there have something to say, I'm going to acknowledge them. What was in the past was in the past, but regardless, I think if people are interested, they're going to be here, and there's a few people here tonight, and I appreciate them being here. Like I said, I think we've come up to a good, happy medium, and let's just roll with that, and then we'll tweak it as we go along. I think we're good with that. So, that being said, anything else, Don?
I have 3.6.
It's all good.
Okay, now we have our budget presentation.